is upon us. I'm sure you didn't hear about it. There's going to be an election in November. But I want you to vote today. You got to vote today. We vote every day. You need to vote on yourself. Because really the only thing you can control in the world is your reaction to it. And a lot of us can't control that. I'm guilty of that. So in today's little walk around the park, I want to talk about voting for yourself. I'm sure all the candidates this year will be voting for themselves come election day, but you need to vote for yourself every day, which is something I still struggle with, something I need to remind myself about. It's choosing what's best for you. And what is your vote? Your vote is what you choose to pay attention to. A lot of us pay attention to important things. A lot of us pay attention to nonsense. I'm also guilty of that. But in voting for yourself, you're making the active choice, choosing to focus on things that actually benefit you. One of the ways, personally, I've been able to vote for myself is to not focus on the news, which is quite an exercise for those of us who are addicted to information, which I think is at least every Westerner to some degree. The internet has exploited that information addiction that most humans have, an addiction to learning, even if the things we learn are trivial, which we call trivia. Voting for yourself is a choice to focus on things that maybe improve your life. A lot of us focus on things that are detrimental to maybe our health, our mental health. It does happen. And a lot of times when you deviate from the collective by removing yourself from those detrimental thought patterns, you'll notice things get better. I see we have some people in the chat. Hello. Can't make you a mod. I don't know you. Talking about voting for yourself, voting with your attention. What we pay attention on. It's really what our vote is, our personal vote. And one of the things I did to improve my mental health is I stopped watching the news. That's been one of the most therapeutic things I've ever done with my entire life. As an American, I can't give you an opinion on a whole lot politically because I don't know what's happening. I can't tell you what a politician has done right or wrong because I don't know what they've done. And it honestly is they'll tell you ignorance is bliss, right? I mean, what really comes out of news consumption, daily news consumption? You stop drugs and alcohol? That's good too. That's a great way to vote for yourself. I also don't consume alcohol regularly anymore. There was a time when I absolutely did. Coming from the Midwest, alcohol consumption is pretty culturally encouraged, I would say. Make global peace. I agree with that too. One of the ways we can make global peace is seeing ourselves in other people. Once you start seeing your neighbor as a human, rather than all these self-assessed and socially applied labels that we enjoy, it'll be easier to achieve world peace because we focus less on the divisions, more on the commonalities, which are much more numerous than the differences. The differences often are just a result of the commonalities being lost in translation, in my opinion. But the news, especially you consume enough of it, will always tell you who to hate. So if you're on a high consumption of world news, partisan news, well, you're not voting for yourself. You're voting for some collective movement that probably doesn't have your best interest at heart. So not watching the news has been something I've enjoyed doing since about 2022. And, you know, it's unescapable. You are going to see some news. You are going to hear certain things that happen. There's certain things that you'll just hear about in passing from friends, family, colleagues, strangers. You'll hear about it. But if you really want to vote for yourself, vote for your mental health and well-being, I would absolutely discourage overconsumption of corporate news outlets. If you really want to know the meat of a situation, oftentimes you can go on social media and see people like myself with a phone out on the front lines of a situation, and that can kind of give you a better picture than the biases of the news media, that ultimately they're either serving a political agenda or they're just serving the agenda of their advertisers. Yeah, because sunny days don't sell newspapers. Calamity does. So what do you think you're going to hear about? What does this say? Hello. One way you can vote for yourself is to really engage the things that you love and try not to engage so much the things you hate. I moderate a lot of YouTube channels. I moderate over a dozen YouTube channels, and if you look at the comments on any YouTube channels, I don't care who you are or what you do, there's going to be negativity. It's very interesting. In my opinion, one of the lowest forms of creativity is criticism. You'll see quite a bit of criticism in the comments on YouTube. And I guess one way you could vote for yourself is to be a creative force rather than a destructive force. A lot of times the non-constructive critic is a destructive force. I'm from Phoenix. I'm originally from Chicago, but I live in Phoenix, Arizona now. This is beautiful, sunny Phoenix. My connection's probably going to mess up here. Good day here in Phoenix, Arizona. One way you can vote for yourself is to be a creative force. You don't have to believe in God or anything like that, but the world in general, nature is creation, right? Everything has a cycle. And you see what happens when destruction comes too, because nature can be destructive as well. You'd be naive not to acknowledge that. You can see tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, all kinds of destruction in nature. And that destructiveness is an abrupt change to the status quo, the natural order of life. And, you know, it has huge ramifications, sometimes ramifications that can't be rectified for millennia, right? Different things. You're from Russia. Out there in Russia, huh? Where you at in Russia? Yeah, it's almost evening here in the States. I know it's quite late in Russia. I know some people in Eastern Europe. Yeah, and I guess voting from yourself is contingent upon being able to remove yourself from the groupthink. But in a lot of situations, groupthink does have its positive effects as well. It's just a lot of times it seems like if you get a good group going, it'll deviate from the original intention of that group. You can see that with political parties, religions, trends, different trends, even social media trends. You can see that. So it doesn't mean to be selfish to vote for yourself, just to take care of yourself, to be gentle with yourself. You're the only one you have, really. You have relationships and friendships and love, family, but you're with yourself all the time. You're the only person you can't escape is your own mind, really. And you can control your mind and how you react to the world around you. But that requires voting for yourself, not engaging all the meaningless chatter that serves no purpose for your well-being, kind of there to scramble you and confuse you. So this election season, I'm encouraging all registered voters and non-registered voters, vote for yourself, embrace what's good for you, but also don't do it at the detriment of others. If it's good for you, but it destroys somebody's life, ask yourself, is it really good for you? That's a great question a lot of people could ask themselves in this current global climate. Be simple, and people will be interested in you. That's true. Simplicity is beautiful. Nature's simple, right? We can learn so much from nature. You don't vote. Everything is going to turn out the same anyway. At least I don't vote. Then I can't be blamed for being a part of it. Do you vote for yourself? Can't say you're the first part of your name there. Yeah, saying it destroys someone's life is an opinion. It is. It's all an opinion. It's all a subjective opinion. But I feel like there's very distinct creative forces in life and there's destructive forces in life, right? It's literally the difference between constructive criticism and criticism just for the sake of criticism. I have to ask, what can we live without? That's a good question. That's a great personal inventory assessment that people could do for themselves. That would be voting for yourself. Do an inventory of all the things you engage, figure out what you can live without. What I could live without is the news. And I've lived without it for almost 5 years now. No, I'm sorry, 3 years. You've made money now, more money now than ever before, and you live paycheck to paycheck. I don't think that's something that's unique to you, Michael. Yeah, things like that happen, right? The more money you make, the more things you think you need, right? George Carlin was a prophet. He did talk about that. Yep, George Carlin was a really smart dude. A lot of our comedians are pretty smart. But yeah, Michael, your situation is not unique. Especially if you're from the West. I'm not sure where you're from, but the consumer mentality that's basically installed in Westerners, yeah, it's going to make you be on that subscription lifestyle, right? Own nothing, right? Even Adobe can't even own Photoshop anymore. Here, I got to pay every month. I wish I could just buy it outright. When I was a kid in college, Photoshop at, say, $450 seems so out of reach. Now, I'd much rather pay the $450. Upgrade maybe every few years when there's a major update, but can't do that anymore, can you? A lot of companies move into that model. Strategic. It's very smart. Yeah, Seattle. I noticed some things. Noticed some things on Google Trends, because though I'm not engaging the news, I do like analytics. And it looks like Seattle, the biggest issues that Seattle's interested in this election cycle is economy, jobs. I noticed that's true for Seattle, the Washington State, and Oregon. I noticed on the map on Google Trends. How do you become poor? I think, poor is a mindset. It's subjective too, like Michael said, it's subjective. What you consider poor might not be what I consider poor. What you consider wealthy might not be what I consider wealthy. If you ask me the definition of wealthy, it's having control over the greater part of your free time, your time, that you're in control of it. But to be poor would mean you control none of your time. How much should someone make working 4 hours a week for a YouTube channel as a researcher, clip collector, script writer, helping produce 15 to 20 minute videos per week? You should make as much as you feel ethically appropriate to charge. You shouldn't be afraid to charge what you think your time is worth. I've undercharged people. I don't feel like I've ever overcharged people. But when I charge people for YouTube services, maybe this is to my own financial detriment, I consider what they're going to be able to do in terms of monetization. That's not for everybody. And what I mean by that is if somebody reached out to me and they have a cat channel, because they're passionate about sharing their cats with the world, I'm not going to charge them $3,000 a month, because they're not going to recoup any of that. They're going to just go in the hole. Actually, I'd probably just advise them to do creative calls with me. I do that sometimes, $75 a month. That I could justify. I wouldn't feel bad about it, but those are things I think of when I price my services. I feel like you're undercharging because the views aren't 100,000 per video every time. Well, let me ask you this. We started this conversation outside of the realm of video SEO, but that is my expertise. you're saying they're doing less than 100,000 views. Is this for a company? Is there an offer that they're monetizing off of your videos? Because don't worry about the views. That's vanity metrics. I've had videos that I got proud of because they hit 60,000, but we definitely netted more than $60,000 off of the videos because of the off-site services we were selling to people. I mean, off of those videos, though they never really hit 100,000 like what you're describing in your comment. I've worked for companies that could bring in well over 60,000 a month in revenue. I was working for a channel. I just help out with all the videos. Yeah, but what I'm asking is, what is the topic of the channel? Is it something that we can monetize? Like, for example, one of the YouTube channels I worked for was a golf channel. It was a very successful golf channel. Oh yeah, I'm always an island boy, just trying to make it. No, this is not a pre-recorded alias. I am in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. It's finally not 110. I'm answering questions and talking about voting for yourself this year. Go into the ballot box, take a selfie, vote for yourself. Yeah, so I worked for a golf channel. I'm sorry I got sidetracked there, dude. Worked for a golf channel, and we were able to bring in like $70,000 a month just off of selling the instructional videos. That's where we made the money. We didn't make it off of YouTube ads. A good month off, well, the partner program. Let me qualify that for you, clarify it. Yeah, we didn't make the money off the partner program. It was off selling online courses, basically. It's monetized pro wrestling channel. Does quite well. One of the more popular ones. Well, have you ever thought about going out on your own? Maybe you've seen the back end of that channel. I'm not saying to steal, but maybe you know the formula, how to be successful on YouTube. Why not apply it to something that is uniquely your voice? You understand what I mean? And then you could cut yourself as big a piece of the pie as you want. I'm not even saying leave them. You're in an ideal situation, because when somebody starts on YouTube, it's really important for them to learn, right? Gorlock, I don't know who that is. It's really important to learn, and you're getting to get paid to learn, basically, because undoubtedly, if you're working on YouTube every day, you're learning something new every day. For being observational, seeing what works now, what didn't work, what does work, what's working for other channels. You're getting on-the-job training, man, and you're getting compensated for it. But that doesn't mean you can't start up some side projects, you know, because in addition to what I do for my main clients, I mean, I have this little channel where I just like to answer questions and engage. Joke, bro. I hope you get 1 million followers. Yeah, you know, I don't think this channel is meant to have 1 million followers. This is a very niche channel, you know what I mean? Not everybody wants to be a YouTuber. And even so, a lot of people that want to be a YouTuber, they don't necessarily they're not to that point yet where they understand what search engine optimization is, or the marketing side of things. I mean, I'm sure when the Paul brothers started their YouTube channel, they weren't thinking about how to optimize their titles to be searchable. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry, I get winded up here. It's a mountain area. 1 a.m. out there, huh, Mike? Late, huh? I'm not sure where you're at. Were you in Europe? Out there in Europe, maybe? Yeah. Do a lot of work with people in the Philippines. It's right now it's actually, let me see, maybe about 7 a.m. or 6 a.m. in Cebu City. A lot of my friends are. But it's 6 a.m. Thursday in Cebu City. They're 15 hours ahead of Phoenix. Can't sleep. Yeah. Do you do any YouTube channels? You thinking about becoming a digital marketer? Laptop entrepreneur is what they used to call it. In the good old days of Tai Lopez hanging out in his garage, talking about books and knowledge. Yeah. Yep. I bought in on the Tai Lopez dream. And it worked out too. It really did. It wasn't overnight. It took a lot of time. But it was worth it. It was. It is a lot of work though. No, it's not 6 a.m. I was talking about the Philippines. Here in Phoenix, it is, I believe, 4 p.m. I can't see my clock, and It's so bright out here, I can't tell on my watch, and I guess I got the cool guy shades on. I guess maybe I could see it if I took the watch down. It's 4 o'clock out here, 4 p.m. Jonah Hill, bro. That's why I tell the guys at the barbershop. I said, let me get that Jonah, dude. Let me get that Jonah circa 2012, man. I'd say my dieting probably goes up and down like Jonah Hill too, but I've been pretty good. I've been pretty good lately. But you know, it's Arizona. We got Jack in the Box here. And who doesn't like a Jack in the Box taco, man? Yeah, well, you say you will not vote. You should vote for yourself. That's what this is all about today. Deshaun, it's all about voting for yourself, sir. If you check the beginning of the stream, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but we've gotten away from that. Yeah, Maven's a great example of consistency. And if you check out my channel, not to promote myself, but I did interview Maven's YouTube manager. Yeah, Maven's doing pretty good. Don't like Jack in the Crack? Oh, come on, man. I grew up in the Midwest, like a month, like a year off my life, but it's nothing like that sourdough melt, nothing like them good tacos, man. But yeah, not so much anymore. I kind of like to go for the fruits, vegetables, things like that. I might not look it, but I actually lost 100 pounds since COVID. Yeah, I didn't lose it the hard way like a lot of people. They get sick and had bad outcomes with COVID. I started hitting a punching bag. I started to do breath work. Did a lot of breath work, and just started living a more healthy lifestyle. So I don't deal with Jack in the Box too much anymore, but I try to eat more for energy in mind. And yeah, it's a daily thing. Food's kind of like my coping mechanism. So it's like people ask someone who might be an alcoholic, you know, why don't you just stop drinking? Well, it's easy for someone to say who doesn't struggle with alcohol, right? Just like if you say to a fat guy, you know, why don't you just stop eating? Well, that's kind of a hard one because we do actually have to eat to live, but it's trying not to live to eat is what I've been doing. But it's been good. Yeah, I've been working out consistently, only missing sometimes for the last 2.5 years or so. Really started when I had to wear a CPAP mask, man. Like, I don't like putting a hose on my face. And for like my nieces and nephews to see me doing that, felt like I was like normalizing. Like, oh, you snore, you're overweight, you're choking, put a hose on your face. So I'm trying to eat more mindfully with my energy in mind. But, you know, I still slip just like anyone else. Had Jack in the Box last night, actually. That's why it's fresh in my mind. But boy, I didn't feel good when I woke up. So today, so far, I've just eaten fruit. And got a nice bowl of lentil soup waiting for me at home. And that's what it's going to be today. But, you know, you live to fight another day. What's that say? Homeless people just get a house. I don't know what that means. But, yeah. Talk about marginalized people. We don't even call homeless people people. We call them homeless people. And that's one of the thorns in the side of YouTube, in my opinion, is that people are monetizing these channels where they exploit homeless people. They exploit prostitutes. They exploit even the Haktua girl, right? I'm going to do a video about her podcast coming up soon. But the Haktua girl is a chief example of exploitation that happens on YouTube. She was clearly inebriated in some college town. Someone sticks a mic in her face, probably gets the consent video, but can people really give consent to be on YouTube if they're inebriated under the influence of substances? I don't think so, but that's a big industry on YouTube. Exploiting inebriated people or homeless people, exploiting people. That's a big thing on YouTube. Well, I think it's about the end of my walk now. Back to the grind. It's been a good talk, though, with everybody today, and I appreciate all the participation. These lives are much more fun when I have people to talk to other than myself. Let's see what this says. Exploitations, easy bucks, and for the Haktua girl, she made out good. She did. That's a rare example of someone who was able to actually harness all that publicity and make something out of it. So respect for that. She didn't just put her head in the sand. She's been able to control the narrative largely. It was a cultural thing for a while, and we'll see what happens with the podcast. But she's at least getting a paycheck from it. So I guess I heard, I don't know this, I didn't look into this, as I established earlier. I don't look at the news, but I did hear that the content creator who initially filmed her was upset that she was getting all the attention. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Maybe he should pose as one of those interviewees and go out there. Yeah, well, you know, she's polarizing, dude. Polarization always works, man. It works in every facet of human life. The love and hate relationship, it's a thin line because those brain chemicals, they taste the same, love and hate, a lot of times. And what those chemicals do, the love and hate, is it motivates action, right? I mean, we're talking about her, right? Free promo. I know there's only 6 of us watching, but everyone's going to be thinking about Haktua for a couple of minutes after this, and that shows you that she might have the staying power that a lot of the viral sensations don't. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for being here today. Don't forget, vote for yourself this year. Make it your year.